With the signs of spring all around us, it's a wonderful time to be out and about. But if you're an allergy sufferer, things probably aren't going as well.
Yeah, with the change in weather comes allergy concerns. So we've invited Dr. Lee Kudrowski to speak with us about the new trends affecting the season. Doctor, thank you for being here today.
Hello, Nick. Hello, Brooke. Thanks for having me on.
Absolutely.
Now, Doctor, first, I want to ask, what is the best way to control seasonal allergies?
Well, the best way to control seasonal allergies would be to get ahead of it. What we want to do is we want to make sure that we don't have too much nasal congestion, nasal swelling that would cause, an obstruction of breathing or something like that, to make sure that we get that breathing under control. The way we would do that is through mostly over-the-counter medications and some nasal rinsing to get that allergen or that pollen, that seed that kind of floating around in the air, to get that out of the nose to make sure that we have the best way to relieve the symptoms.
So with these allergies, of course, you just mentioned the symptoms. Some of them can be confused with other things like perhaps the cold or even COVID. How do we tell the difference?
It's kind of difficult to tell the difference between the two just right off the symptoms, because COVID has definitely presented in a lot of different ways, from something that's very severe, needing ICU intubation, to being mild or even asymptomatic. So it's really hard to differentiate without a proper testing. And we could do that in the clinic with a nasal swab up the nose. And the only way to really do that would be to see by your primary care physician.
Doctor, you mentioned pollen. So what types of pollen do people suffer from around here?
The pollen that we could have here is, just from the trees, the plants, the kind of seeding that is going on with the thawing of the snow and the ground, to have the plants, blossoming and setting that pollen around.
And weather can affect how bad an allergy season could be. So do you have any insight on what the future looks like?
Well, it's always a guessing game to figure out what the future holds for pollen and allergy season. But it could be significant this year with the recent moisture that we had and the warm weather that's coming. With warm weather and moisture, you're going to have a lot of growth of the pollen around the area. So I would say that you could have a pretty good season this year, at least in the beginning.
Dr. Kudrowski, thank you once again for joining us today.
My pleasure.